they generally go for a 2 hour online meeting.
Hi there, Jordan.
Hi, how you doing? Hang on a second. I'm on another screen here.
No problem. Take care of your business.
No. I was just playing around until I just got on early, just in case anybody showed up. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Oh my goodness. Now I got to take care of something. 1 second.
Right.
I'm right here. I just got to change this meeting time.
Okay.
Somebody, you know how people do at the last minute, wanting to mess me up here. Okay, Monday. How's your day going so far?
Actually, I've had a very good day. I had my first meeting with an abrasive executive after getting hired by his boss without his agreement. And it went well.
Oh, boy, that's always fun, right? That's your bread and butter.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. All right, let me see what this person wants me to do. Monday. Okay. I think I'm just trying to decipher this message here. Wants to move to Monday at 1. Okay. All right, then. All right, I'm going to log in somewhere else.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Howdy,
Hello,
ma'am.
hello.
Good to see you as always.
Thank you. Same here. What did you call me about?
You called me and I couldn't talk to you, and I said I'd call you back as soon as I got off this phone call. So I was wondering what you called me about.
I was returning your call.
Uh-oh. Anyway, listen, this is what I'd like to do real quickly. I made a small change to the order of things, and I'd like to show you the slides that you're going to see, if
I
that's
have to
okay.
go. I have to run and get my camera. It's upstairs.
Actually, this is not about you. This is more about John. So,
Exit stage left.
but the second thing is about you.
Okay.
We'll talk
All right.
about it while you're gone.
All right.
Do that.
All right. Let me come back here. I wonder if she gave me permission to share my screen.
You don't need permission.
There we
You
go.
got it. Okay.
Okay. So the first thing that's listed at the moment, you know, there's the 5 minutes and then we have brief introductions, and I'm thinking about switching that. What's going on here? Oh, I'm switching. What I'd like to do is once we get off the 5-minute hello talk, is for you to come in and say, let's get started. Here's the meeting, and then go into brief introductions instead of the other way around. Is that okay with you?
Sure, that is perfectly fine. And since we're talking about that, while I think we'll get to there, but people will probably come in as we're going through the introductory piece. So we'll just keep that slide up as people are maybe coming in the room so they can see what we're doing.
Okay, sounds good.
What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Although the downside of that well, maybe that's a reason why to move it the other way, as people are coming in the room late.
I don't know. I mean, people didn't come in.
How many people?
We're kind of going around with the idea of when John started.
How many people are you expecting?
Somewhere between 12 and 14.
Okay. You can do both. All right. We'll just have to teach them how to do it. First of all, put your screen in presentation mode.
when you say my screen, yeah,
Put your
okay.
slides in presentation mode. Okay, now, if they go to the right side of the slide, they'll see that little split screen arrow.
I actually don't see it. I don't have a split screen arrow.
Sharing my
Yeah.
screen. with-
Oh,
It's,
let me,
I think what she's trying to show you, Jordan, is how you can resize it. So if you looked on your picture, it's on your pictures on the right. So in between the pictures and the slides, you'll notice a little oblong little thing. If you just click there and slide it over, it will expand and contract the slides versus the pictures that you see on the screen.
yeah,
Yes,
so when I'm not the one who's sharing my screen, I have that, but when I share my screen, it's not there.
let me just test that. Hmm.
If at some point, Jordan and or CB or anybody else who does not know how to do this, I can show you how to share a portion of your screen and put it in presentation mode so that on your end,
So
You
we've got
see-
5 minutes. You want to do it?
yeah, I it's hard for me to do things verbally. Actually, it's kind of my challenge. So let me just, so here's what I would go to share
You can
screen.
share the screen, John.
Well, I'm not sure how, okay. So let me do that. I will just share my screen real quick.
Mhm.
And then, so here's what you would do. If you, can you see my screen?
Yeah, and I
Yes.
can see the little
Okay,
line.
So you go to share screen and you go to advanced and you go to share a portion of your screen. Now let me open up a slide deck here real quick. PowerPoint, hang on. Give me 1 second here. Take me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so you can, so here's what you do. You go to presentation mode, like she mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, now I've got sharing a portion of my screen with you. So all you should see right now is this slide that says team report. That's what the audience will see. But this is what you see. You'll see the team report and you'll see the next slide. And when
Right. But I also see
advance-
workshop goals and workshop agenda.
Correct. That's what you would see. But what everybody else will see in the audience, because I'm sharing my screen with you, so you see all
Yeah.
of it. But in the audience, all they would see is this team report slide. You see this screen. So the trick is you go to advanced, share a portion of your screen, put your slides into presentation mode and fit them into the little box. And that way, everyone out here in the audience, they only see that presentation slide, but you get to see what's coming up next and any of your notes
Okay.
on the screen.
So
Okay.
where
So
do
that may
I
be a little,
find, where do I find that advanced presentation?
if you go to share screen, you'll see 3 tabs at the top: basic, advanced, and files. And you want to go to advanced. And under advanced, you'll see slides as a virtual background, portion of screen. So you want to click portion of screen. And it should come up with a little green box in this upper quadrant here. You just fit your slides in presentation mode and fit them into that little box and you're done.
I probably can't see it because you're sharing the screen.
Yeah.
right?
So
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but that's
Well,
kind of, it's
let
just,
me try that. By the way, hi, Rick. How you doing?
Okay, just
hey, Rick.
taking a lesson from John here, just listening to his
Let me
teaching
try.
skills
Let
is-
me try doing that.
Oh, I see. That's kind of neat, John. Hi, Rick.
Good morning, good afternoon, I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah, let me try that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's a little clunky to get there, but once you get used to it, it's pretty simple.
No, that's CB, right?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, when you do that, can you still see the people?
I can.
Yes. You'll be
Okay,
able to
'cause
see them.
I can't see them at all when I just share my screen without doing that. So CB, since I have to go next, stop playing with it and let me do mine.
I thought I had only one husband that gives me orders.
You have a whole tribe.
All right, so I'm in the more. I mean, I don't see,
Just go to get out of sharing your screen for just a moment. Let me see if I can walk you through it from memory. Okay, so what you want to do is behind the scenes right now, open up your slide deck and put it in presentation mode. Right? And then when you go to share screen, go to click share screen, and at the top you want to go to advanced, which is right there in the middle.
okay. So I put it in presentation mode.
Correct. So it should be taking up all of your screen pretty much.
Hang on.
If you go to share screen.
And by presentation mode, you mean slideshow?
That's different.
I just click on the little camera down there in the bottom and it puts it into presentation mode. Hang on, let me just see. Let me look at this.
Let me share a screen and you'll see it. Because I just took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, it is slideshow, Jordan. You're right. It's slideshow. That's what you're clicking.
So Jordan, can you see my screen?
I can.
So this is in the advanced mode. You'll see these.
You know, I'm gonna have to play with this later. I
Okay,
don't think we've got enough time to.
it's hard to learn.
It's okay. It's just a trick that comes in really handy if you're doing presentations that involve numerous slides. And you know, it's just, I mean, we don't have that much here, so it's probably not worth even bothering with.
Sounds good. I may have to have a separate meeting with you to get. I'll play with it, or either that or CB. And
you know what? Maybe when in my copious spare time this weekend, maybe I'll just make a little video, an instructional video. It won't take long. I like playing around with that kind of crap, so it'll be all right.
Okay, thank you.
I'll see what I can do.
All right. Well, we're pretty much all. Oh, I wanted to show CB the her slides. Oops. Okay, let me share my screen. So your slides I've changed so that when we get to what you're going to do, you're still going to do ACEC mission. You're still going to do support members. And this is the slide. Then you're going to let everything else go and go to the conference.
Last time you didn't show me my slides.
These are your 3 slides.
Last time you didn't show them.
Yes, I did. No?
No, I had a printout.
Oh, okay. I showed them while you were talking, I think.
All right, are you going to show them this time?
Yeah, that's the intention.
All right, you two. Good grief.
Hey, listen, I can't help it if you can't see.
That's why I went off the wire last time. They weren't in front of me. Love it. So just to make sure that, just to confirm, when you called me this morning, you thought you were returning my call? Okay. So what's going on, Rick? How you doing?
Rolling along here being the observer, right?
Welcome to the ACEC show.
It's all good. Little technology features, right? You know, it's these things, once you get the little trick, it's like, oh, that's easy. Wow, right? And, you know, I think for years, there's all these like functions and keyboard little tricks you could do on Apples or, you know, other things that make it like, oh, super easy. But if we don't know about it, we're doing it, you know, sort of in a sort of a clunky way. But when you're really trained on it. It's like, oh, just press this button and that thing, and suddenly takes all care of it for you, right? So
But by the way, am I
Buddy
chair?
co-host, hold on.
Co-host. That way I can let people in and you don't have to do it.
yeah, I saw Will Brewer's name pop up here for a second, and then he's off.
Yeah, I did too.
There's Erica.
There's
coming in.
Erica.
There's Will.
And there's
There's
Will.
Will.
Ooh, sorry, back to back today, guys.
That's okay.
Never happens, Erica.
Never, I know.
Wait, none of us have that issue at all. Hey, Will.
Hi,
Hey,
Jordan.
Will, how you
Hi,
doing?
CB.
Well,
Hello,
Okay.
everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Is everybody co-host now? Oh,
I
wait.
think
Jordan.
so. I think we have enough
Where is that?
co-hosts.
I am not listed as, there we go. Now I'm listed as co-host.
Now you are.
Okay. Miss Erica,
Hello.
did you change your hair color?
No,
Huh,
must be
just
the
the
light.
lighting. It's the
Yeah.
lighting.
yeah. Oh, look at this fancy hat.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
Good afternoon. Good
Now,
afternoon.
now, Andrew,
Andrew.
you've got to go and put the hat on now.
I got a bunch of hats. I got hats. Thankful. It's a good life when you got good hats.
Yeah.
Will, do you have a
Hey,
hat?
Will.
I do, but I don't have it handy. But it
Well,
is
how
a
are you?
Texas hat.
Yeah, Will, your voice is kind of low.
Can you hear me now?
I
Yes,
can hear you, it's just, it's low.
Low meaning it's soft.
yes.
No, low meaning it's low,
Low volume.
low volume.
Low volume, thank you.
Oh,
Well,
Kristen's on.
people are gathering. We're going to start in just a few minutes, kind of officially. But in the meantime, we're just kind of gathering together and chit chatting for a few moments for those of you who are just joining us here.
So Andrew, how's New Mexico today?
Today, it was a nice morning. We had a little bit of rain passing through. It's been a kind of spot stormy couple of days. It's supposed to be a cold and rainy weekend, but it's been beautiful mostly for the last month. Yeah. How about in steamy Phoenix?
Yeah, we're in consistently in the hundreds now, so that's sunny hundreds, but maybe a little bit passing showers occasionally, 30% chance kind of thing, but makes for nice sunrises and sunsets. We have a little cloud in the skies there, so
Hey, Rick,
it's all-
do you
it's all
live
good.
in Anna?
I live probably half hour from her, maybe 40 minutes from her, right? She's on the sort of East Valley. I'm sort of the West Valley. I'm sort of edge of the desert, right? When you're wanted by the law, you have to kind of stay away from like major areas, right? And just kind of hide out in these remote spots. So.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
hi.
It's a good thing this isn't being recorded yet.
So have you guys had lunch?
Ages ago.
Ah,
That's because I'm in the Northeast, Eastern time.
no, I'm talking about Rick and Anna.
I know.
Oh yeah, I'm fully nourished.
Yeah. I had an 11 o'clock lunch, so.
So I hope
There's
everybody's
CB.
bought their conference tickets.
A long time ago.
Yes, good. Before the price goes up.
Yeah, 2023 expense, a 2022 expense.
Good. Good.
This email address. No. No. Okay.
This is interesting. We had 12 to 14 people signed up.
we have 8
We
here.
might end up with a small but mighty group here.
That's true.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kristen will make us talk.
What's been your experience with registration for these conferences in the past? Does it tend to be last minute? Does it tend to be pretty steady? Do you, is it the usual suspects?
ACEC conference?
Yeah.
Usually we get committee members purchasing in the beginning, as soon as it's announced.
Mhm.
And then we have people that wait until the day before the lower rate is gonna expire. And then we have people in ACEC that after the lower rate expires, they go, but I never saw the email. Can I get the lower rate? Yeah.
The exceptionalists, yes, okay.
Exceptionalist. It's a good word, Andrew.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Always putting me in a difficult situation. And then we have the outsiders who purchase at the last minute. Why, I'm not sure. Because they also get an early bird rate. I think people in general are being more cautious this year. I don't know why. It's non-refundable. It always has been. But I feel like they're, since COVID hit us, we're sort of waiting to the last minute to register for things in case something else, health-wise pops up. I think I've seen that kind of shift.
Yeah, that seems right.
By the
No.
way, go ahead.
Edgar,
Now we can really get started.
Edgar, how are you feeling, my dear?
Okay, I took my first drive this morning.
Wow.
We got in the car. Yeah,
Fabulous.
I feel like a teenager who's gotten his independence back. How are
Hello,
you?
Edgar. I haven't seen you for a while.
How are you, Mr. Brewer?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm doing very well. It's nice to see you, sir. Thank you.
Equally.
And the same here.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Likewise. Thank you.
So
Well, it's great to see everyone here. Jordan, do you think we should go ahead and kick it off now, or do you want to wait a few more minutes?
let's wait a couple of minutes, and I
Okay.
have one small question for CB. Of the possible hotels we could stay in for the conference, is there one or two you would most recommend? They're all equally wonderful.
They're all equally hotels.
Okay.
What's a lot of fun is looking into getting an Airbnb with multiple bedrooms and baths, and see if anybody else is interested in being part of that.
Yes, Greg Ward is interested. Do you have his information? Edgar?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm local enough. I don't need to find a place to stay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have to go to a couple of conferences this year, and that's what we're doing. We're doing the Airbnb.
Yep.
Okay, so John, why don't we get started?
Well, why don't we just do that? I just want to welcome everyone. I'm John Sigmund. I'm going to be your facilitator, master of ceremonies, or whatever you want to call it, for the next little bit. And I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. First of all, it gives me a chance to meet everyone and to have some new conversations, and also to partner with my friend Jordan, who put all of this together. So I'd just like to say thank you to you, Jordan, for all of the effort you put into this and for putting all this together for us.
Well, you did a little bit, so.
I didn't do much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So welcome everyone. And why don't we go ahead and just get started here with just a couple of reminders, if you will. So our objective here is, building worldwide relationships. So now that ACEC is a true global organization, that's really our overarching intention here. We're just trying to drive deeper relationships between members and introduce new people, new members to the benefits and all of the wonderful things that ACEC has to offer, and to get some input from all of you and from anyone else in the extended network about what we should be focusing on and what should we be doing next, what should we be offering. So that's really just part and parcel of what we're going to try to do a little bit of this evening. And I'll tell you, a couple of days ago, we had a very similar scenario, and we had a nice script put together and a nice agenda and everything. And then it kind of went sideways into a whole different conversation. So we're very flexible with all that, but we really want to hear from all of you and get some input from you about where we're headed and some future direction. Does that sound fair, CB?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So as a way for us to get started here, just from an introductory standpoint, I'm going to ask you just to spend a moment or two introducing yourselves. And I can't remember what we're going to ask people to do. There you go. Fantastic. So really just your name, your country, the city, the region where you're from, how long you've been with ACEC, maybe a little bit about what your specialty is. And I think really most importantly, at least from my perspective, is how can other members be helpful in your journey as a coach? So I'll get started. I'm John Sigmund. I live in upstate New York or mid-state New York, about halfway between Rochester and Syracuse, if you know that general vicinity. I've been with ACEC. I think this is going into my 4th year this year. Might be 3, but I think it's 4. And I focus on 2 populations: executives that are burned out and kind of not fulfilled, and people who are on their way to the C-suite. And I think for me, how other members have already been helpful and probably can continue to be helpful for me is from where I sit is this, I run a 1-person operation for the most part, and it's kind of a lonely deal, right? And so part of my desire to join ACEC to begin with was to partner with and commiserate with like-minded coaches. And so that is certainly what I have found in this association. I'm really, really grateful to all of you for that. So what we're going to do is when you're done introducing yourself, you're going to call on someone. And so I don't really know Will, so I'm going to call on you because I'm really curious.
Okay, I guess I'm up. Will Brewer.
You are up.
I'm in Stamford, Connecticut. I think this is my 6th year with ACEC. If we talk about specialty, I guess I'm both an executive coach as well as a management consultant. And the executive coaching really is mostly C-suite, and it's across a variety of different requirements, really. It's people who are growing into that position because they're recently promoted. It's people who are in that position and feel they need a coach as a safe sounding board, and it's people who are in that position who are having problems. So it's the usual variety, I guess. And the consulting that I do really ranges across a variety of areas. It started with pay for performance compensation, moved through into performance management, which translated into training, management and leadership training, and then executive coaching probably for the last 20 years. And we also do the organizational development work as well as strategic planning where it's appropriate. So it's quite a wide range. In terms of members being helpful, I think it really is mutual referrals, and there have been a number of referrals that I've made to others, which have turned into business for them. So it would be nice to get the reciprocity where it's appropriate. But I do think that it's appropriate for consultants as part of their professionalism to know other people who can do stuff in the space where I'm not able to do it or just not qualified to do it. In terms of helpful, it's nice to have people join a team where one needs a bigger team. So I think I hope that covers the curiosity piece, John.
Yeah, thank you, Will. So who would you like to tag next?
I'd like to tag Edgar.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate that. So I'm Edgar Papke. I'm in Louisville, Colorado, in the U.S. ACEC now 2 years. It's probably a good number. My specialty is something that I think we all do. So, and that's alignment. Most of my work over the last 30 plus years has been with CEOs and their executive or leadership teams, and in creating alignment through the organization. So it's a very much a systems thinking approach to the work, which allows me to do everything from working at the deep individual level with clients, as well as having a broader perspective on how to influence and align an entire organization around their customer experience, branding, culture, and the leadership influence that follows. As far as relationship to other members, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Will just said, which is collaboration, to be able to have other resources available. We're in a bit of a growth mode at True Alignment Inc. And so we're actively looking at building more of a collaborative in terms of having resources available to clients as we grow. And so with that, I'm going to ask Kristen, because you're an Esquire, so I'm intrigued.
Well, that just means I can't say a thing. It's all confidential. Thank you, Edgar. It's nice to see everybody and to meet those I haven't seen yet. My name is Kristen Perry. As you can see, I am in New Jersey, and I'm in West New Jersey, the rolling hills, beautiful countryside that nobody associates with New Jersey.
I do. I lived outside of Hackettstown, Townsbury, for a while.
Okay, so I'm sitting in Clinton right now. My office is in Clinton.
Yeah.
And by the way, Stanford is not that far from you, where you are.
Stanford?
Connecticut,
Yeah.
Depending
Just-
upon which bridge you take.
Yeah, exits and bridges. I have been with ACEC since the last conference. So 2 years ago, that was really my intro to ACEC, and I can't think of a better way. So I'm delighted to be on the conference committee this year and been from day one. I'm also fortunate to be on the associate cohort with Jordan and the educational committee as well. So I'm super involved. It's a pleasure to be that involved. And I love being here in the ACEC family. Through my practice, have been working with C-suite executives, generally in the oncology space, on small, though some are publicly traded companies. They tend to be the execs in beleaguered positions, whether it's chaos or uncertainty or unfortunate FDA outcomes, funding, shareholders, board members. And so I've become really a sounding board for them, a trusted advisor, confidant, and helping them reframe situations really is how I best help my clients. And in terms of how can other members be helpful, asking to be part of that associate cohort by Barry early on was just fantastic. And the last thing I'll say is we've talked a lot about having connections. We're working on that, I guess, through the educational committee member and combined with the membership committee. And this is a launch for that, to better connect with people, maybe one-on-one. We had talked about starting to do some small groups. So really it's just connecting, getting to know each other, whether it's networking or just the support. Like John, I work on my own, and that camaraderie and collegiality is important. So thanks for that time. And I'm going to go to my wonderful friend and mentor, Erica.
Hi, thanks, Kristen. I'm Erica Lamont, and I am coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, heart of the Midwest, and obviously the United States. I've been with ACEC, I think 5 years now, approximately so. I'm a member of a firm that is a partnership. It's an LLC, but it's two partners, myself and my partner. She's based in Denver, and our company is called Connect the Dots Consulting, and we're in 3 areas primarily. We started our firm with an emphasis on transition and onboarding, executive onboarding specifically. That expanded into development coaching, and we subscribe to the Marshall Goldsmith good to great coaching. So we drew the line there. We try not to get too involved with people who are really struggling. We really focus on that upward trajectory of development. And then that led to team dynamics as well, as you can imagine. So you work with individuals, and we do a lot of specialty and custom team solutions for teams who are forming, storming, norming, all that stuff. And what else can I tell you? My involvement in ACEC is that I am the membership committee chairperson, and how other members can be helpful is by volunteering to participate in the membership services committee. We're looking for more members. So if you're interested, you'll join our dynamic group. And we also have an opportunity, if you don't want to commit to a full-time committee, but want to help us vet potential or applicants for the MCEC certification, we would also love to have you serve and help in that way. So so selfishly, if you would like to expand your experience with ACEC, it's a great way to do that. And we have a great group. I will tag Rick.
All right, thank you, Erica. My name is Rick Gardner. I'm coming to you from the greater Phoenix area, Goodyear, Arizona, specifically, the 9th fastest growing city in America. And I have been with ACEC. I think I've had my first conversation with CB back in 2015, while I was in search of colleagues who were operating at the level I was at in terms of the experience and the executive level versus people that were new and excited about coaching and trying to learn their way through it. And when I had a conversation with Stevie, I knew, okay, this is my kind of place here. So I guess 2016 early I joined, and I've been on the membership services committee for that, I think entire time, primarily to just connect with folks. It's a great way to meet new members. And I've attended, I think, all the conferences except one when I had a niece getting married that same weekend. So I wasn't able to attend, I think, the second one back in 2018 or whenever it was. And it's been a real pleasure. The quality of the membership and thought partnering that I can do, either just one-on-one when I've learned about somebody in a specialty and called them up, or particularly at the conferences, being able to get to know people on a personal and a professional level, what they're involved with, has been terrific. I do a lot of work in the healthcare space, from the big pharma historically to hospitals, healthcare systems, do a lot of physician leadership work. Very challenging market space right now coming out of the pandemic, but it's been really rewarding doing that work. I also do a lot of work in the financial services and IT financial services, tech space. Director through C-suite, working with one-on-one leaders and leadership teams, doing, offsite retreats, 2-day retreats, that type of stuff. I'm very grateful for the work, and glad that, I can make a difference in the world, helping others make a difference in the world. In terms of how can other members be helpful, it's, get involved, right? To me, the enrichment I get is, picking areas of interest. Not everybody wants to be on a membership services committee. Maybe they want to serve on conference committees or other things, but CB is a font of ideas around how to deploy the assets and the talents that each member possesses. And so I would just invite you to, step in and connect with colleagues. And I've not had a bad experience at all in terms of, to a person. We're all different, but we're all, I think, committed to, advancing, the executive coaching space, and the world needs better leaders. And I think if we can help, fulfill that that obligation to make the world a better place through better leadership, then, you know, I'm all in. So that's my story. And I'm going to turn over to Andrew, my buddy Andrew, who I introduced to ACEC.
That is correct. Well, thank you, Rick. It's good to be your buddy still. Andrew, it's been an interesting relationship over the however many years, 8 or 10 years or so, in different places and life stages and moves. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you. And I am now based in beautiful northern New Mexico, just north of Santa Fe. I've been here for about 9 months. Before that, I did 20 to 25 years in Philadelphia, and then was able to get out with my soul intact, but all good. Enjoyed my time there, and I'm really enjoying my time here in New Mexico at this different post-COVID stage. So I've been with ACEC probably 6 months. My specialty, it's interesting. My specialty is trying to find really, really good clients and then serving them in a variety of different ways. And that often looks like front of the room, workshop-y content on different things, whether it be about communication or conflict resolution or purpose or vision or decision-making or trust building, or, you know, using things like Eastern wisdom, Aikido, and other things in learning. I suppose my specialty is on helping people develop themselves as better people, not just as better employees. And I really love experiential learning as part of coaching. And that's part of what I do here in Santa Fe, where we work with leaders and teams with our herd of horses doing experiential leadership work. And I'm still answering that question. There's a part of me that's impatient and says, I wish I had a good 30-second type thing. What's your specialty? But I think I like the fact that I'm still figuring out what that is. Either way, or any way I may define it, it still beats my first career, which I was fortunate enough to get out of early. I had my professional midlife crisis at 34 when I left my law firm in Southern California and changed course significantly. So grateful every day. How can other members be helpful? Sharing wisdom, sharing ideas, brainstorming. I love to be part of idea generation, whatever that is. I too work alone, but for the past, I've been in this space for 26 years, and I haven't really worked alone too much. I've affiliated with different consultancies. I've affiliated with Wharton, which is where I know Rick. And that keeps me from losing my mind or spending too much on it, swimming around in my own juices, which is not a healthy thing, or just limiting the universe of possibilities to what my simple brain might conjure up. So I'm grateful for the camaraderie and the idea generation, and I'm really open because I'm still new to the group. So I'm glad to be with you. Over to Nancy in Studio B.
Well, hello. Thank you, Andrew.
Nancy.
Nice to see you all. Nice to meet you. I'm coming in from the Houston area, Richmond, Texas, but southwest of Houston. And I've been with ACEC since 2019, after that San Diego event and the MECO Award. So that was exciting, and have stuck with the community since then. My specialty, I've had my company now, and we're now called CDR Companies. We were formed as CDR Assessment Group 25 years ago. So we've held for 25 years. And my specialty is our deep assessments, along with executive coaching and leadership and talent development with those assessments. And so what we do is I work with C-suites, senior executives primarily, but my other primary client are executive coaches, working with them and developing them and supporting them and using the assessment tools within their practices for both coaching, team development, and other custom designs. And the other thing that we did that was really exciting here in the last few years is that we launched the first ever digital avatar coaching system. It's a platform where clients are debriefed on their assessments and then actually go into 2 different action planning modules. We also have a STEM fit review in the career action planning too, to help people understand whether they have STEM skills for upskilling. So that's been really exciting. And that was actually, we did that as a result, a client asked us, they said, we love your We love your assessments for coaching executives and high-level leaders. It was the US Army Civilian University asked us if we could come up with something digital or avatar so the rest of their employees could have feedback. So what that digital system is not to replace what we do, it's to augment our reach, right? So not only should we be taking care of people in the last third or quarter of their career, we can flip that now and help people earlier in their careers or even in college to get on the right path. So that's been exciting. So we kind of morphed from doing, and we still do the high touch, but now I'm suddenly at this age running a tech company. So there you go. So we're busy. We're probably spread too wide, to be honest with you. Like I said, we still do the live executive coaches. And I also have a network of coaches who are certified and we meet regularly. I need to start pulling some of them for nomination into ACEC.
Yes,
And we have regular meetings and we develop and we work. So when we have projects, we call those coaches in, for our corporate projects, which is fun. And then, so we don't employ them. We contract obviously as needed, and vice versa. So we can also bring them coaches where they have projects that are bigger than they are. So it's been nice. It's worked well for us for these 25 years. So I'm excited. Can't believe I've been doing this that long. There you go. What can other members be helpful? I would just love to meet each of you, for me to get to know each of you even better. So I offer you, if you ever want to reach out and have a 20-minute, 30-minute Zoom coffee or something, I just love, learning about people, learning about all of you in this space, and to hear about you and know where you're at and what your specialty is in case things come up and we need some help.
well, you'll find that out at the conference.
Yeah, I've got some conflicts, Switzerland, or there's another meeting at the same time. So I don't know. We'll see. And I have twins coming at that time too.
Oh my gosh.
Not me, my son and
Yeah.
daughter. So I'm a little, yeah, I know. I was talking about it today to my staff. I don't know how do we juggle all this? So thank you.
You'll have to send a representative then.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan, just in case people aren't totally aware of you, although you are renowned in these circles, perhaps you could go next, and then we're going to kind of flip the agenda over to CB for a few moments.
Okay, well, Jordan Goldrich, San Diego, California. I can't tell you what year I joined, but it's been a long time. I'm thinking it's 10 years, maybe more. And I have a specialty in working with abrasive executives. I think I have a different take on that. It's mostly caused by either culture or by the fact that their self-esteem is so attached to success that they take it as a personal offense, or they have their identity threatened by people who aren't performing. And I use Marshall Goldsmith's Feed Forward, and my former life as a therapist is digging around looking for motivation and threat and all of that stuff that triggers stuff. A lot of it is focused. And by the way, let me just say, what got me to join ACEC was support for CB's definition of what is the top level executive coach, which is now evolved into enterprise-wide business partner. And so, I think the enterprise-wide business partner wears a number of hats as appropriate. It could be business consultant, could be organizational consultant, could be mentor, could be coach. And I wear all of those hats with the people that I work with. And so how could others be helpful? One is we are going to build this new approach into a worldwide experience. And there's a number of things that we've talked about, one of which is maybe breaking down into what would be in a different kind of an association, a local chapter. These would be time zone chapters. And so we're probably going to be looking for people who have some interest in maybe having monthly meetings with people in their time zone or around their time zone and getting known. Let me second Erica's comment about people who can help with the MCEC and join the committee. We have a lot of fun with each other, actually. So
It is a lot of fun.
so, that could be really good. The other thing I want to mention is, and this is an offer as much as it is a request, is part of where I learned how to deal with abrasive executives is in my work with the Honor Foundation, which is an association that helps Navy SEALs and other special operations forces. It's Allergy Day. No, Special Operations Forces transition. And if you're working with companies who are looking to hire leaders, the people who come out of this program are incredible leaders. So that would be the other thing. So that's it. Now I'm going to turn my mute off so I can sneeze and cough a little bit. Mute on and take it away, John.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. And thanks everyone for sharing and getting us off to a good start. So I'd like to just flip it over for a few moments to you, CB. I'm looking at the agenda here, and maybe it's just a recap or a reminder of everyone, kind of our purpose, and maybe chatting a little bit about the upcoming conference and whatever else is on your mind.
There's always a lot on my mind.
Well, we know that. Let's
I've been
try to
here for
narrow it down a bit if we can.
of days. Thank you. It's so good to hear from everybody and see everybody. One of the things that was not mentioned, which I'm very proud of, is Will was able to put together a relationship with ASTD so that people in ACEC can publish their work in the ASTD journal. And so I want to publicly thank Will for that relationship. It's crosses different associations and really sets us up for the kind of association that we are, which is very giving and very humble at the same time. So thank you, Will. And if you don't know about it, please reach out to Will to find out more about it. Will, am I putting you on the spot?
Not really, but it's probably an opportunity to say that we had a great deal of difficulty getting articles. We worked very smoothly, I would say, for about 18 months. Mm-hmm. And the people at ATD kept changing, the people that we were working with. And then finally, our subcommittee that was dealing with it really unraveled. I guess unraveled wouldn't be a very elegant term, but it really fell apart. And we haven't really done much in the last couple of years. Okay. So maybe it's something that could be revitalized. So I don't want to take credit for stuff that hasn't been happening.
Well, I think the fact that you opened the doors for us, and I think that maybe this is something that should go over to the Membership Services Committee. So
if Membership Services Committee is interested in pursuing it, I can certainly set up relationships again or find out what is available and if there's still interest. I know that whenever we did submit articles, they were published. And I think that continued for a few years.
Yes, yeah. So I think maybe Membership Services Committee. And also it occurred to me that we really didn't, no fault of yours, Bill, but we didn't make a big celebration for those that had their articles published, right? We didn't go out with a blast to say, here's where it is and yada, yada. We didn't put it out on LinkedIn. And so I think that there's more opportunity for us to celebrate those that have their articles published.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then that encourages other people to want to do that. So I think that's a great idea. And we didn't even put it on in our own newsletter, which goes out 4 times a year. So I don't know what the protocol was for ASTD for them to publish and for us to then also publish, but that's something that could be discussed.
And I think there was another part of ACEC that was publishing articles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the newsletter publishes articles.
Probably the newsletter, yeah.
Yeah, the Engage newsletter, right. So let's start off by talking, do you want me to do my name and stuff?
Oh, sure.
I don't
Okay,
see any reason why not.
Who are you exactly?
So I'm this elder Black woman who decided that it was time for our industry to change, and went about opening ACEC after a conversation with a colleague of hers who was head of recruiting and hiring executive coaches for a Fortune 500 company. And he himself had decided to get his certification as a coach. And I said, why? Because he was already an attorney. He already had his initials after him for being a member of SHRM. And he said, well, I feel like I can learn a lot. So he went forward with it. And towards the middle, he said to me, I'm learning so much. And I said, what have you learned? Do share. And he said, well, I learned there's a difference between coaching and consulting. And I said, okay now. And he said, CB, I can tell you being one of your sarcastic moods. And I said, no, that sounds very interesting. So he just laughed. And towards the end, he called me up and he said, well, I have a problem. And I said, what's that problem? And he said, well, in order to get my certification, I have to be shadowed. And I said, well, you're an attorney. I'm sure you read the fine line before, Kristen is cracking up. And so he said, yeah, but the problem is I've interviewed 50 coaches that have received their certification from this organization, and none of them knew what an ROI was. I said, okay now, so are you trying to tell me if you knew of a group of coaches that knew what an ROI was and were superior coaches, you probably wouldn't have taken this whole circle thing to get certified? And he thought about it. He said, you're right. So I said, all right. And I hung up the phone. And that evening, ACEC was born. It occurred to me that we needed to separate out the grass from the weeds, and that coaches needed to distinguish themselves as those who can go toe to toe with the C-suite, those who believed in being an enterprise-wide business partner, which means, in case you haven't seen our latest website, it means that you know about their competition, you know about them, you know about employees, you know about where they want to go and where they've been. And you're willing to explore a total relationship with them. It doesn't mean consulting. It does mean broadening the scope of coaching. And it may include a little bit of consulting. And so we look for an ACEC, as you know, coaches who have a multifaceted portfolio of knowledge. What does this mean? You know your coaching inside and out. You know a little bit about psychology. You know a little bit about consulting. You know a little bit about everything in order to be valuable to your clients. Make sense? So hold up a mirror. That's who you guys are. You know enough to be able to really say to a senior leader, this is not the way. And here's why. And here's how you might go. That's what I see as being a superior corporate executive coach. About me, I'm almost finished with my first solo book. I have written chapters in other books. Thank you, Kirsten. I said to somebody yesterday, he said, how's your book going? And I said, you know what? I need some courage to finish it because I have the galley and I just have to proof the galley. And he said, what's your book about? I said, that would be courage. It's a case of the shoemaker going barefoot. But I'm really, really excited about the book. And it's ready to come out of the birth canal. I'm just a wreck about it. And I will gladly admit that to anybody, right? It was a heavy lift, but I'm really proud of it because to me, it represents ACEC as well as myself and the courage that each member has in this organization to stand up, to speak out, to resolve, and if not success, to figure out why not and go back at it. And I think each member represents that. What do I need? I would like to do more speaking to companies, mid-sized companies in particular, about courage. Because to me, courage is the foundation for exploding a company. What do I mean by that? Courage is the foundation for creativity and innovation. And if you don't have that in an organization, the organization does not succeed. And if you read Good to Great and the follow-up, which I can't remember the name of it, you'll realize that many great companies fell on a sword because they weren't courageous enough to support employees in the company for all their new ideas and thoughts and allow the company to grow. So that's my thing. And I believe that coaching, having a really good coach in your organization, they're able to spot that and to say to the leader, you're in control mode. You're not being courageous to let your employees be creative and innovative so that you're in a growth mode. That's my presentation. Oh, I get to talk about the conference, right? So any opportunities, where I can go in and shake up an organization, please let me know.
HCB, will the book be available by the time the conference rolls around?
Yes, I am
Okay.
committed to that. And each person who attends will get a copy.
Autographed?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The
May I
conference,
just add something about CB helping, please?
yes.
Yes, please.
I approached CB a few months ago about a client of mine who's highly successful. His company's gone public. He's a billionaire. He's kind of doing all kinds of things now. And his daughter went to Kenya and was on a program there, and she was on vacation there and met somebody who was very ambitious and wanted to get a book published. And I thought that CB might just be the kind of person who could give me some guidance as to how to help my client. And she just jumped right in. So it may sound trivial, but she was wonderful. My client's daughter wanted to write a book and have the book published. And CB went back and forth and took care of it, and they were very grateful. As I said, it sounds trivial, but nothing was too trivial for her. She was happy to jump in, and I think that really epitomizes who CB is and what she contributes to the organization and what drives her. So I just wanted to mention that, CB.
Okay, so I've officially turned red, even though you guys probably can't tell with my skin tone. Thank you. Wow, okay, I didn't see that coming. Thank you. Regarding the conference, I am so very excited about this year's conference. If you can make it, please come. We have completely redesigned the conference. As you know, ACEC is about passing the Joneses, not keeping up with the Joneses, but passing them. And so we've redesigned the conference, and it's called a dialogue conference on purpose, because the goal is to talk to each other. And I've had some feedback for the previous conferences saying, CB, you're not allowing us enough time to really get to know each other. And I kept thinking, yeah, but I've got to jam this with speakers that are. This year, we have a very nice balance of speakers from ACEC as well as speakers from the outside. But even more than that, the subject matters that we're going to cover. First of all, Edgar is speaking, which I cannot thank you enough, about alignment. We now have allowed 15 minutes for various ACEC members to speak about their passion. And I just got word that Jonathan is going to talk about vertical, I think it's called vertical coaching, which I know nothing about. So I'm excited about that. There is just so much information that's going to be shared this year. It's outrageous. We dropped it back because, you know, we're always experimenting with time and days of the week. We dropped it back from 3 days to 2 days. We felt that after COVID, people might not want to stay around that long. We'd like to make it a choice. Kirsten, please jump in if I'm going off, you know. And so it's 2 very intense days. We also decided not to have it at a hotel this time. We're having it at an event center, which is why we're not saying which hotel you should go to, right? We've just put down a list. And I recommend Airbnb. I recommend using Expedia. This is just for people who want to have the list in front of them, right? We are having it at an event center. We're not doing the black tie party this year. What we are doing is a cowboy theme. So you can wear blue jeans, you can wear boots and a cowboy hat and denim. So it's in honor of Colorado. And we will have the first event starts on the 20th with a cocktail party. And my husband has picked out a really nice place, so we'll have fun. But on the website, you know, it says come in early so that you pre-arrange to meet with various members. So we're really pushing that part of ACEC that each one of you have mentioned is important to you. So please come in early, arrange to have lunch or drink or coffee with somebody, not drinks, because I'll tell you why, beforehand. That evening, we'll have the cocktail party with everybody that's arrived. And then the next morning, we'll have a shuttle bus to the event center, and we'll have light breakfast there, you know, bagels and cream cheese and that sort of stuff. And then we'll start right in with, I think Edgar is the first keynote presenter. So we'll start right in, and we have this time, because you asked for it, breakout sessions to be able to discuss what people have talked about and to get to know each other better. And we continue on until cocktail hour. We have cocktails, and then we have dinner, and then everybody gets taken back. Next day, we do the same thing, and again, a fantastic agenda. We stopped the conference in the evening of the 22nd. The evening of the 22nd, you can now go and have dinner with each other versus being locked up for another evening. So we want people to stay and have dinner with each other. We'll have a list of restaurants, but I'll tell you, in Old Town, where you'll be dropped off, you can't walk a foot without a restaurant. It should be just really renamed Restaurant Row, right? And just some fabulous fun places, you know, there's some, Colorado's known for its beer, so there's a lot of beer distilling places around. As part of my journey, I have been paying a lot of attention to what employees are asking for when hiring people. And I've noticed that employers now want to see how well you communicate before they'll hire you to do a webinar, to come and speak, to do training. If you haven't noticed it, please pay attention, because that's what's happening. And in order to do this, you have to develop a speaker's reel. A speaker's reel can cost you between $6,000 to $30,000 to do. I've negotiated with some colleagues that you'll be able to come in and speak for 15 minutes. I will introduce you. There will be a post-production person there to film you. And then that film gets sent to a post-production person who will break it up into a speaker's reel. We even have that, and that is all included in the price for the third day, which is a separate price. And that also includes breakfast and lunch. So it's one day of just speakers speaking and being evaluated by people in the audience. And you walk out with a speaker's reel. Well, you will be getting a speaker's reel for your website. And I am just over the moon excited about that idea. And it's, of course, brought to you by ACEC. So we are watching for ways to increase your income and reduce the work. Any other questions? That second stage is called, the second phase of the conference is called Drop the Mic. And by the way, I should mention, we're going to spend a good deal of time in the conference talking about artificial intelligence and its effect on the work that we're doing. Because it's real. It's definitely real here.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I need to drop off for a coaching call at the bottom of the hour. Wonderful to meet you all, and we'll see you again soon. And we'll see you at the conference.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Make sure
Thanks, Andrew.
the next part we were going to discuss is benefits in the brochure. So please make sure you read your brochure.
Yep. I'm actually going to suggest that we not do that and move on to the.
Okay. All right.
Take care, Andrew.
Bye. Okay. Jordan, back over to you.
Okay, so this is a meeting. The intent of this is to get input from you on how can we build worldwide relationships, what kind of programs, et cetera. And what I'd like to do is start by reading the just going through very quickly the input we got from the May 11th meeting as a way of triggering some good conversation. So hang on a second. By the way, I discovered this morning that there's a way that I can share my screen and actually see what's going on here, but John didn't have enough time to teach me how to do that. So I've been going back and forth. I apologize. So let me go back here.
By the way, the last meeting we had, we diverted the conversation to talk about coaching in various cultures. So if you want a copy of that, please let me know. It was an incredible meeting because while we were talking, one of the members of ACEC in Israel had to cover because he thought there was a bomb alert. It turned out to be an electrical outbreak, but it was a very exciting conversation.
Yes. So the basic question for you all is, what will inspire you to attend future meetings to build relationships and learn from each other? I'm going to show you a couple of slides about what it was, the feedback was. So, in some ways, the first question was, why would we even want to do that? So let me give you a minute or two to read what's up there and see if there's anything else that you would like to add. Or any questions.
think everybody is read. Will, are you still reading?
I'm done, thank you.
Okay.
So, and then let me show you the second slide and then we can go into conversation. So let me know when you're all done and I'll come back.
Yeah.
I think we're all good.
All right. So the idea is, you know, CB mentioned the thing about what do you do with Black or people of other ethnic backgrounds who want to have somebody the same background, and what are the issues around that. We got into some really deep conversations in a way that was from that first comment about, you know, we could really share different views with each other without worrying about getting canceled. So that's where we want to go. What are your thoughts about that? How do we do that?
So let me give you some context, some further context. We were talking about Yasi having to leave us to take cover. And then that led to conversations around culture. And how do we, as coaches, cross coach into different cultures? How do we develop that trust? Because by nature or by industry, coaches don't spend a lot of time, if any, marketing and teaching the public about what we do. We teach our clients, yeah, but we don't spend time talking to the public who may be in need at various points in their life for coaches, right? And so one of the things that we see as a result of that, for example, is people of color wanting to be coached by other people of color who may not be the best fit for them, right? They may not have the corporate experience that is needed for that particular assignment. And so how do we break down that barrier as coaches? How do we start to let people know that we have this cross-culture ability to support anybody that's in our range of coaching? So for some, like Nancy, it might be involving IT and developing programs around that. So if the NACP came to her, would they come to her if they needed that sort of thing? Or would they say, oh no, we'd have to go to a CB? That is just the wrong thinking. And how do we get the public to understand that this is not necessarily about race? And that even if it were about race, that somebody of a different race or culture may still have better answers than somebody of their own race. And one of the things that happens is there are few and far between corporate executive coaches who are of color. So now that the office structure, office environment is opening up to invite more people of color to the top, where can they go for leadership and dynamic coaching, right? They're going to think, well, I need somebody that looks like me. But wait a second, how do you get somebody who looks like you when heretofore the coaching field has 1%, maybe 2% at the very most of people of color? We've got to figure out how to solve that. And the same thing that John was talking about with people who from Asia. again, another population of people with color? How do we break down the barriers?
Can I jump in 1 second, just because this is something we do all the time? We work across cultures, we work in the Middle East, we work in Asia. And honestly, our assessments, because they're objective and they're about each person, we can break through to everyone. Now, there are trends that, like in Asia, some things we're seeing, or India, but in terms of maybe risks, they tend to be more false advocates and pleasers because they're so kind to a fault. So we can go in, we get to know them early, wherever they're coming from. It just works really well. So we always use that at the starting point of the relationship, and it just lays the groundwork for trust and that we know them at a deep level, right? So because it is objective, the race, gender neutral, and cross-cultural, they work. So for me, now I know that's, the tools just help us bond and help us to get to know them and their struggles quickly, and their strengths as well. So then you can have those dialogues about them shutting down and not speaking up when they need to, and you work on that because it's right in the data. It's not like I'm not asking them questions that are offensive. It's already there. So I'm just saying, for us, I'm in the middle of coaching a couple of Korean executives, C-suite fellows right now. So it's very comfortable. I just want to, in our practice, it's really comfortable.
So my question to you is, and I see your hand up, Will, is why did you develop the program like you did? Is the first question.
Right.
Because you saw a need, or was it?
No, because so we have psychometric and motivational assessments that we use primarily. We have a 360 tool too, but the reason was, honestly, when Kim and I started this business, she's an IO psychologist, was to revolutionize leadership, because leadership is fundamentally flawed in many ways. The effectiveness numbers are still very poor overall, because there's two primary reasons. Often leaders and executives aren't in the best job for themselves. That's one problem. But the bigger problem is their risk behaviors, ineffective coping strategies just run amok. And then they're not effective. And then lastly, there's no accountability for those two things, right? So if we can start helping people with self-awareness, studies show only 10 to 15% of people are self-aware. So how the hell are we coaching them if they're not even self-aware? And then we're just tagging along on the ride. It's not effective. You've got to get past that. So for me, we like, and Jordan, you might like this, we can call her bullshit immediately. There is no bullshit. It's real, and when you see the data, obviously you're going to do purposeful questioning, and you're going to get live examples of all these behaviors before you even start moving through. So it's not like we're not just throwing data at them. It's built into their life experiences and what they're sharing with you. And as they talk, you can see all their risks coming alive, all their strength. So it's, yeah, so we do it at the front end, because here's my other thing. I'm an impatient kind of person. I'm from Philadelphia. Okay, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and my daughter's getting married in the Eagles Stadium, but that's another story. That's in August. But no. So now with these, we also fast forward the coaching process. So we know from day one what might take us 5-6 months in part to learn. So I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time kind of holding hands and getting to know them. I want to have a great rapport. I want to be candid, honest. So we move all that discovery up front, then you can hit the ground running. So just knowing people and getting past the superficial stuff. You even know if somebody's going to be superficial with you, and you're prepared for that because you can see it in their data, right? It's right. There's data points that show you this person is very close to the vest. They're not going to be open with you. So as a coach, coaches are prepared for that. Coaches know, okay, I'm going to have these other questions. I'm going to be patient. It's going to take a little longer with this particular person to get to where we need to be. Or if they're cynical and they're doubting everything, but what I love about it as the coach, you have this blueprint up front, what to expect, so you're planning well. Anyway.
But I think, Nancy, you're supporting my point, which is that you have this program that does all this How many people just in ACEC know about this program and are trained to deliver it?
Just Holly, I think, is the only one certified in art.
There you go.
And I don't know, Maya Chan, she doesn't use this that much though. Oh, and Lynn Harrison. So not that many. Yeah, just
Yeah. So my point
sprinkles.
is that you have this wonderful program that cuts across all of the bullshit, right? And
Right.
gets directly to the point. But there are not many people that are coaching, especially at the top, that have access to this. That's one part. And the second part is there are not many people on the receiving end that know about this. So
Correct.
still locked into coaches need to do more marketing. They need to talk to people about what
Right.
they do and how helpful they are. I see a lot of things coming through on the chat and I can't do both, but know that I'm supporting whatever it is you're writing. I think, unless
I
it's
know, I
not
can't
about
do
me.
it too.
Well, you better be careful.
Oh, you're right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll jump in because he had his hand up for quite a while.
So I
Yeah.
just want to pick up from what Nancy was saying. I did some work for the Cutter Foundation for 5 years, and it was part of a leadership training program for university presidents, vice chancellors, whatever the title is, from emerging countries. So it was literally people from all over the world, but literally from all over the world.
Right.
And my part of the program, apart from just the leadership and management training, was actually sitting with each of the participants prior to the conference starting and working through assessments with them. And to Nancy's point, there was absolutely no issue around the cross-cultural communication. I used the assessments and it broke down all the barriers. People were thrilled to be able to have the kind of discussion that we had where they could talk about issues that were not, they didn't feel safe to talk about those issues in their own environment. I don't want to dwell on that. The point that I'm making, there are a couple of points. As a follow-up to that, I ended up doing similar kind of work in Bangladesh, Nigeria, Ghana, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, a number of other countries, because these people went back to their home countries and said, we need this to be done. Where am I going with this? The point is that when you have people who are willing to work with you, it's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. I'm oversimplifying, obviously, but precisely along the lines that Nancy was providing. The point is, it's really a major communications issue that we face. It's how do you get the word out to people? It's not just word of mouth by coaches telling other people, but there has to be a major campaign, to my mind, to be able to educate, whether it's in the corporate, you've got to get to the corporate space, obviously. How do you do it? Are there organizations that one can contact? Are there organizations of leaders of color? Actually, there are, because I've seen frequently on Squawkbox, there are leaders who emerge there who speak for the organizations they represent. And those are people who've got access, and that's what one really wants to leverage. The people who've got access to a lot of other people who would be able to say, gee, there's this organization that's got a selection, a range of coaches who can work with you and who are competent professionals and will be able to help regardless of color. So to me, that's really the issue. It's not our ability to be able to work with them. It's the ability to communicate to a huge audience, potential audience, that we're there for them and can work with them effectively.
So let me
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, John. I have to disagree respectfully for both of you. I think it's a lot more complicated than what we're making it because, and I will give you a very specific example. One of the members of ACEC said, CB, I don't know how to help one of my clients who happens to be of color. And I said, what's the issue? And the person said to me, he asked me a really good question, which was, actually I have two different stories, one was, I don't feel comfortable talking about giving jokes in meetings like my white counterparts. What do I do? That one may be easier to answer because it's within our coaching space. But when you develop a trust with somebody, watch for these kinds of questions. You know, Nancy, the other day I was going to ride my bike in my neighborhood. As a person of color, I'm the only person of color. And I was very careful not to ride my bike after dusk because I was afraid I'd be pulled over and be arrested. You see, once you develop trust with somebody, they're going to talk to you about things that are outside the leadership
Right.
of the space. That's important that we are able to answer those questions, right? It's also important to let people know what are our boundaries, what we can answer, what we can't ask. But be prepared that once you develop a relationship with a person of color, they're going to come to you with some tough questions. That's what I want us to be aware of. Jordan?
So let me throw in that what has evolved here, there was a comment in the meeting chat from John about thinking that what we need to do is have a topic like this, announce it and have people join. That may be the next step. And I'm thinking that's right. So we have about 15 minutes left. And I want to make one last comment about this other topic that we've been just talking about. Partly because I'm curious and partly because I want to demonstrate what it is that's necessary, which is that piece that it was really CB who brought this up. How do you have last meeting? How do you have real conversations with people and walk away friends where you really disagree on very sensitive issues? So
can
let
I
me
give the context to that?
go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking about in the days when I lived near Greenwich Village, and there were coffee houses, and the protocol, if you would, going in to have coffee at the end of the day, you sat and you talked to people that you totally disagreed with. And you'd have these energizing conversations about, well, I believe in this and you believe in that, and blah, blah. It would go back and forth, and it was a real tug of war. At the end of the day, you walked out so energized because you got a chance to hear somebody else's perspective, not agree with their perspective, but hear it and learn. I mean, the same thing in Paris. And so I said, what's happened to us? This cancel culture has erased our ability to learn from each other. What can we do about that?
So in that spirit, that's exactly what I was trying to say. And in that spirit, I think where we need to go is to be able to have conversations that have started here on a topic where we have people like we have here who are willing to say things and challenge things. So just to demonstrate that, back to the other conversation, I have a question. And that is, by the way, I'm asking this out of curiosity. One of the things, I grew up in New York in a loud family. And when I ask a question or when I think out loud, I sometimes sound like I'm telling people what to do, and I'm really not in this case. But I know it's going to sound that way. So, you know, one of the things I learned, I have a BA in psychology. And then I went on and got master's in counseling and social work. But in my experimental psychology course, one of the things I'm sorry, it wasn't in that course. It was really in my assessments course. One of the problems with IQ assessments, and one of the reasons why Black people score lower on them, is it's a language issue. So for instance, one of the questions that would be asked I think they've changed it now, but one of the questions that would be asked would be, they show a picture and say, where is the ball? And the answer that they wanted was behind the couch. And apparently, I don't remember the exact example, but apparently kids who are from Black families or growing up in some kind of neighborhoods wouldn't use that language. They would say behind the couch. There was another, in back of the couch. There was another question around moral intelligence, which was, if you meet a policeman on the street do you go up and say hi or do you run away? And for an assessment that was developed by white people, guess what the answer to that was if you want to have a high moral development. So back to what Will and Nancy were saying earlier, it's hard for me to believe that there can be a self-assessment that is racially neutral and culturally neutral. It's just almost impossible for me to believe that. And I'm not saying that to challenge you so much, Nancy, as I would love to have a
I can show
conversation
you
where we
the
discuss
numbers,
that.
Jordan. It's actually, we've got sample sizes of, I don't know, about 20,000. And with these assessments, self-reporting, it is neutral, race and gender neutral. So these are not items that are tricky. They're not double barreled. They're very simple that go into this. So anyway,
No, I
understand.
wasn't raising it so much to get an answer from you as to
Yeah.
demonstrate if we were having a conversation about assessments or about racial, gender neutrality or whatever we'd want to call it, we could really get into that. And I think that's where I think that's what the opportunity is here for ACEC. And so we have about 10 minutes left. What I'd like to do is get your thoughts about that. If you're agreeing with that, what topics would you like to have conversations about? If you're not agreeing with that, what do you think? What can we take away from this before we take the next step?
Let's go to Kristen. We haven't heard from Kristen at all, and she raised her hand.
Oh, thanks. And I will keep it brief in light of the time and the number of people here. This came up last time, and in what I felt about the conversation and what you had initiated, CB, is that I think there should also be a conversation about anti-racism work and where that conversation comes in when you have a Black client asking for a Black coach, right? Where's the response? I hear you and I don't disagree with you, but I also think that there needs to be a consideration about honoring that too. In terms of especially white people stepping back, that we've had a seat at the table as white-bodied, and there's a whole lot of room for us. So where is that honored? So I can segue that to Jordan's inquiry, to keep this, is the conversations like this. What would be another topic? I can't think of one right now because I'm focused on whether we want to have somebody come in and when we're like a moderator, a woman I know well has really shifted her therapy practice to anti-racism work. Would we want to have somebody coming in? I'm not saying to talk about anti-racism work, but inviting them in, or do we keep this in the ACEC family, alone and have the conversation? So thanks for giving me the floor. And with that, I'll pass.
I think Rick or John, one of you.
Rick, I think, wanted to go next.
So, I'd be an advocate of, picking topics, right? And, I've coached and, people of color. I've had similar experiences of working with the Wharton Exec Ed program, global leaders coming in assigned to people of color, females, Asians, Latin Americans, African Americans, whatever it might be, and using assessments as a tool to have our introductory conversation, get to know their personal history, take them through the assessments. And a lot of that stuff comes out around their personal journey and the challenges they're having as a minority, leader, and how do they manage that, whether they're in Singapore, Asia, the US, or whatever it might be. So to me, I think it's rich conversations for coaching. And so, I'm happy to have those conversations. I think you get deep real quick when you do have those conversations. And that's the beauty of being able to have that, create that space and that vulnerability and be able to create that trust space. So maybe it's a topic like conscious and unconscious biases, just as a generic thing around, or how our brain works, right? How our brains function for, survival and makes shortcuts and does all these things that creates these inherent biases. And oh, by the way, it happens to be, we make assumptions around race and gender and other things. And how does that inform how we show up or how we perceive the world, and how that limits us in certain ways, and how that, helps us in other ways. So to me, that's a nice data-driven neuroscience way to just approach this dynamic around how we're perceiving the world, whether you're feeling like I'm in the majority or I'm in the minority, whatever it might be. And, I'd be a huge advocate of having, topics like that raised and having, esteemed leaders like everyone here and others engage and say, how do you have those conversations, or what have you learned, or what other data are you presenting, or what insights do you have that, created a breakthrough that we could also take and use in our practice?
Yeah, and I love this conversation, by the way, because I go back to my days in corporate America when I was given assessment tests, Nancy. I thought they were punitive. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. I never saw the value of it until I came into the coaching field. So my question is, how do we get rid of that stigma? How do we show it? And it's not something I would discuss with the coach or my company, because then I'm going to have some more X marks next to my name. Renegade, doesn't participate in the team and all that kind of stuff. The other thing I remember going to a conference once, hearing a coach psychologist, and she told the story about how a young Black guy had dreadlocks and he wanted to get a corporate job. And she said to him, well, you'll probably have to get rid of the dreadlocks. And he said, but that's who I am. You're trying to make me into a white person, and I'm not that person. And her answer was, when you go home, you can choose to be whatever color you want to be. But if you're walking into the corporate world, you almost have to be the color that they want you to be. And I thought that was a really interesting comment. So along with developing good testing, we have to be careful not to marginalize within that, try to make people who they're not. So I think this is a very rich conversation. I applaud you, Nancy, for doing the work that you're doing. My challenge is, how do we get that communication out? We're sitting here saying I've not had problems coaching people of color, but the problems that we're talking about are not things that people of color are going to talk to you about.
Right.
And they are going to affect what you're talking to them about. So it's that having those kind of real conversations, not to say that any of us are doing anything wrong. The question is, how do we step it up?
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought I saw Edgar's hand go up.
Edgar hand.
Yeah, I actually heard a number of things that I think I was just collecting the thoughts as I was listening.
We know
And-
this is going to be your next book, Edgar. So
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of you, CB, I think. There's a number of topics here, and you can begin to unpack those and see all the different possibilities, especially when you look at it from a global perspective. So here's the list that as I was listening, that are all, I think, really worthwhile endeavors, and you could position them in different ways in terms of the conversation itself. One is, what's the definition of trust from a client's perspective, and how well do we understand that and tap into that? And that has everything to do with culture, race, national. I mean, it's ripe and it's full as trust comes in different forms. And so what is it from the client's perspective? And there's the idea of training people of color as coaches. And how do you do that? A couple of years ago, we got involved in a conversation with Blackstone about the idea of specific leadership development for those that they consider quote unquote underserved, or groups that had not been percentage-wise engaged in leadership roles. And what does that look like? So from that enterprise-wide perspective, then you could look at it through the lens of, well, we could develop and have a conversation about what is tailored intervention for any organization look like in terms of coaching and doing leadership development within the context of the specific organization and its culture, by definition, then also creating shifts in the culture. And then a couple of other pieces that came up, Nancy, that the piece just about a solid conversation about a shared framework represented by clear data that allows us to have a shared terminology and approach to helping people understand themselves and coach, because that's the door that gets opened. It's that there's a shared framework here. There's a shared terminology, a shared understanding, which kind of creates a level playing field. That's a
Right.
great place to start from, to be able to do that. And so data and assessments and shared terminology and those pieces come into play. And then last and not least, all of this work at the end of the day is about self-awareness and helping people accept themselves. And so what is that caring attribute that shows up in all the work that we do? And how do you represent that and communicate that in a way? Because unless you experience it, it's really, really difficult to be able to share with someone. So, you know, how to do that. And I think these are all representative of wonderful topics that you could slice and dice and move into and create value through, as well as capability to develop and help each other develop. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
for-
we let me just throw something out. We
But-
can, we
Will-
can,
Will's-
I have to drop off the call, unfortunately. I've got another call coming up. A pleasure to work with all of you and to be with all of you and to meet those I hadn't met previously. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
please
Will.
send me your list of topics, Will.
Thank you.
So we can go
Kristen
over.
needs to drop off also.
Yeah,
Take care.
Bye,
Kristen.
everybody.
okay,
I look forward to
Bye.
seeing you all
Thank
again.
you.
Thanks.
yeah.
Thanks again,
Terrific.
Jordan and
Take
John.
care.
Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, thanks,
So,
Kristen.
so we can go on a bit, and what I'd like to do is leave my email up here so that you can send me topics, because I think the next thing we're going to do is schedule one of these kind of conversations around a topic. And Edgar, I would love for you to send me that list of topics, because I was trying to listen and write at the same time and I
Well,
couldn't do it. So
will do.
whatever let me turn it back to you, John, whatever anybody
Nancy,
wants to talk
Nancy.
about.
Yeah,
Nancy has her hand up.
I have
John.
one quick thing that I'm a member of another coaching group called the Alexel Group. It's a small, anyway, one thing, we're in our second year. We are mentoring minority coaches, and it's our second year. We call it the walkthrough program, and it's been great. So we sign different of us to help them in different ways and helping on their executive coaching journey as they're moving. So again, great success last year and this year. Just something maybe at the meeting, it could come up if members were willing to participate and help. I think it's wonderful, and I'm happy to share more about that for anybody who's interested.
Where
Awesome.
are you finding these individuals?
They're nominated by people we've coached or worked with in different capacities.
me
and we
too.
we bring them in. So yeah, it's by the group membership nominates, and then we review and interview them and select, and then we work with them for a year. They can come to our meetings, and we also assign mentors and coaches to them. It's volunteer. We volunteer our time.
Now I have 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then my lovely bride and I have a reservation for dinner that I cannot miss. So I'm gonna leave. You can continue to talk.
John, I
but
want to connect with you soon.
I got to leave.
Yeah,
too, so.
absolutely. So I just, this has been a fabulous conversation, and I have just thoroughly enjoyed kind of being part of all of this. And I do believe that if we can queue up a single thought starter, kind of controversial question or topic, I think we can get a lot of value and mileage out of that. And Edgar had a lot of nice topics listed, and a lot of things are coming to my mind, not the least of which is sort of dealing with the political polarization that occasionally a client would just sort of throw something out there on the table just to, just to get a reaction, and just things like that could be really, really helpful, I think, for all of us to have conversations around.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Nancy,
Yeah.
I am very curious to know how you, and maybe this is another discussion, how you were able to clean your assessment so that it didn't have any bias in it.
Years of filtering out items, and then obviously testing. You run the studies, and then you pull the numbers, looking at the comparisons, the parallels between the male and Caucasians versus everyone else. And we're seeing what the differences are, and they're running the same. There's not those differences that you expect. Now, what you can get though are some, again, culturally, we can see some different risks because we're raised differently, right? So in that, but not in the character profile. So it's not a bias. It's telling us who we are on those risks, how we cope under stress. And we're all raised to cope differently. And I think that's the beauty of some of the diverse cultures is you're going to see differences. I can tell you a lot of African-American women, for example, have high cynic and low trusting. Well, of course, I mean, that makes sense. It doesn't make it not valid. It is valid. It's who they are. It's how they were raised. It's how they had to self-protect themselves growing up.
Right.
From threats, from inappropriate behavior, whatever. People, not being fair to them. So it really helps them understand that. And then how do we move forward with that? How does that help us? Or how does that hurt us sometimes? How does that detract from our effectiveness?
Yeah.
Right. So then you're having that real conversation because
I love that.
it brings out that seriously, it's people just are amazed, and it really helps us then have that really open discussion and talk about those things like you were mentioning. They come up, people talk, oh my goodness, I was raised and I had to do this and I had to hide this and I had to do that. It's like, okay, how do we unpack that? How does that impact you today for the good? And maybe again, not, it could be really hurting you or hurting your promotability, hurting how people are perceiving you, that kind of stuff.
So Nancy, once somebody takes your program, then they're certified to use it, or how does your program work?
A certification is, and we sent this to ACEC, we've got your, now we do it virtually because it's just easier, right? So executive coaches go through, they take the assessments, they have their own live coaching feedback first before they go into this certification. And it's a 2.5 to 3 hour debrief, one-on-one. Then you come to we do it now 90 minutes a week. For 7 weeks, we skip a week at the end. So there's practice coaching in that 2-week gap. And again, we're taking people who are already executive coaches. We're not training people to be coaches. We're providing executive coaches that are at a high level with a tool. And that's how the whole training, we help them understand interpretations, configural scoring, how things connect, how you apply, and then the process of how do you debrief and how do you understand this, and apply it to that leader, that client. And it just brings it to a whole new level. And the other thing that I work with coaches all the time to help them put their game face on for that client, because we have to really adjust to if somebody's hard on themselves and self-critical versus I have the egotist, arrogant person. What do I do? Is it, your demeanor's got to be different if you're going to be effective, right? Even though like you might have high interpersonal sensitivity, be caring and nurturing, if you come in and you're tripping over yourself to be kind to this high egotist, low interpersonal abrasive leader, they're going to go like, goodbye, this is a waste of my time. So our coaches can coach anyone. Now, ideally, you don't put somebody with super high interpersonal. We can match too with somebody who's extremely abrasive, because that could be a bit of a conflict. But we do work with coaches. Again, you got to put your game face on. Who are you coaching? And you need to be your best to be effective with that person, given their data, given who they are. Not who you are. It's, you have the expertise, you have the knowledge, and you have the blueprint. So
and how much does it cost to go through this program?
The cost for certification is $2,500, but you get the coaching in that, your live coaching. You even get CDRU coach, our avatar, as a review of your own debrief, and it helps you kind of tee up the assessments and understand the configural scoring again. Because when you're being live coached, you're being coached. You're not sitting in the coach's chair, you're sitting in the participant chair. And then all the materials, we also have everything online for people. We even have, and we have special sessions. We meet every other month, but we have special sessions on how do you do team development? How do you use even for selection? I mean, they're validated for selection. So they're the real McCoy. They can be used for a lot of different purposes without ever retesting anyone, because people stay. So anyway, it's $2,500, 6 sessions. You get your and then afterwards you get a complimentary set of assessments, which we sell to coaches for $350 for all 3. You get a complimentary set to review for your practice live coaching with a safe client. We don't want you to go for the next client you're landing. And before you go live with that client, you review it with one of the instructors to make sure you're comfortable that, you know, you've got the flow, you know what the data that you're looking at. So to just give you that confidence. And when we do corporate, like we do internal coaches as well as external coaches, sometimes we even do a post review after that to make sure everything, you know, it just depends. We don't order that. We don't do that for our externals normally, unless there's some special need or we're doing a special project. And in, you know, in our case, if we're bringing a group of coaches, because we're coaching in Asia, we'll have maybe an hour prep session to know what to be. We'll share data with them at the aggregate level to know what they're walking into. And the other thing that we do is we stay in touch with our coaches. I get calls and my colleagues, you know, get calls, or if they get a set of data that looks odd, or they have a question, they can talk to us anytime. And we're not like lawyers. We don't charge them. I just had a call with somebody who was certified in 2000. That was pretty cool. You know, she was.
Nancy, what discount do you have available for ACEC members?
If we can, yeah, we can definitely work with you. I mean, we can definitely say, I'm sure, I think we had a discount at one point of like $250 off that, but we can definitely bring it down to like the 2000 or 1800 range. Probably 1800 is our bottom. Because when we do coaching just for that one coaching session, that's normally a $1,500 charge, you know, to clients. So, but they're getting the coaching, the workshop, the materials, and they always have access to all the materials online, articles, coaches checklists on all kinds of different things. I mean, we even give them proposals for team development. How do you write? Here's the proposal. Here's a template. Use it. We give them slides, you know, so there's a lot of resources to help and I would say our coaching is you know, what I recommend is coaching / consulting. I have to be honest with you. We're not the type that sit back and go, oh, you figure it out. You know?
Well, you know that's ACEC's motto.
Yeah.
We do coaching / consulting.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We're not like the ICF. You just go through this, you know. And sometimes with some coaches that go through ICF, I'll say sometimes you have to forget some of that stuff they told.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
And what we do, it's like combining the science, right, of coaching and assessments with the art of feedback and the art of development. So I love that model. It's not a canned little process. And that's what I see. I had this guy that we certified, he was a CMOE of a major like Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company. Now he does executive coaching and he has the gravitas and he's in our group. He's in our network, right? He comes through, he went to ICF first as he moved into coaching. And he said, you know, they told me they filmed us and all this stuff. He goes, they told me I just I wasn't empathizing enough with my client. I wasn't showing empathy. And I said, that's not your job. He's coaching C-suite people. He doesn't need to hold their hands. I mean, I just said, you know, forget they said that to you. I know your profile. I've coached you. You're great. You're good to go. You know, yeah. So, but I mean, that's not what and I think it would feel inappropriate if that was given to C-suite people to be emoting over them, to be emotional.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just nutty stuff. So anyway, I think, you know, we can give a couple of you, you know, like CB, I can give you a coaching session. If you're up for it, if you're game, you can take the assessments and have feedback with me if you're up for it. And Jordan, I would do the same for you. Obviously, I can't do it for a lot of people. But if you wanted to test, or second to that, you could take CDRU coach, but that's not the two-way. But it does help people be self-aware. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool. But the best always is live coaching. I mean, no doubt, even though we have that digital, that's to reach people who otherwise would never have coaching or feedback to be self-aware. We use it for executives too, as a reinforcement. Okay, you've been coached. Now you can go back up to that anytime you have a question or want to review. But anyway, I'm happy to do that, but I'll send you both the, what our certification looks like. And we start again in September and it's virtual. We record every session. So if somebody misses, I have some people do independent study now too. I've just had a couple of coaches go through that way because they don't want to wait. and then we mentor a little bit. We still get some one-on-one time with them. So it's really a lot of time with you. It's not just a workshop, if that makes sense.
So
Understood.
I'm thinking that I would like to do an article on you. I need to tie your work into courage, though.
Well, you know what our brochures have always said from the beginning? We're not for everybody. We're for leaders who have courage and compassion. That's been, like I said, in the early brochures, that's what we had, courage and compassion. So when you're talking courage, I'm like, gosh, you're hitting my heart, because that is it. And especially HR folks, they don't have the courage to, many of them, to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
They're not champions and they resist change. We have their data. So we have to do workarounds often with those folks because they run for the hills.
Well, I'm thinking for my June newsletter on LinkedIn, which goes out to, I think I'm close to 3,000 people now.
Great, yeah.
So let's, I'll send you an invite and we can talk.
Yeah, and if you want to take these, I'm serious, we do these every now and then, we'll do introductory feedback just so you can see what it is.
I'll
And-
take it.
Yeah, Jordan, do you want to, or are you busy? You want to try it, or you want to wait to see?
Sounds
what-
good. Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll have my office send you a link, and then we'll set up a time. We need a 2.5 hour window to do your debrief. Do it by Zoom, so we can, believe me, once we're in, the time will race.
Yeah, no, I would love it.
And how often, the other thing I love about it is how often do coaches get a time out for themselves? That to me, even executives, the same thing. People
Yeah.
are busy. So nobody ever, it's kind of like a spa for you, to say, how am I doing? How's it feeling? What's working well? And the other thing, a lot of the development that I focus on with believe it or not, with my executive clients is part of what they end up with in their action plans is doing more of what they love. Focusing on their intrinsic motivators and what do I love? What am I missing in my life? Because that's also a great stress neutralizer for them. Rather than go take stress management, why don't you try to be a little happy? Like, if they have high amusement and hedonism, go do things that are fun again. Or if you have high artistic, what are you doing that's creative? Oh, I'm too busy. No, plan it. Go be creative, or whatever it is. Science, we measure a lot of different things. But
Are you speaking at this year's conference or not?
no, I wasn't. I didn't see any. If I missed it, applying or putting my 2 cents in, I didn't do it.
You did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm wearing too many hats, to be honest with you. So it happens.
Yeah. Well, if somebody drops out, I'll put you. on
Okay, great. And we'll send you, I'll have my team tomorrow send you a link to take the assessments, but we'll still plan on meeting. And I think you'll be fascinated at your results.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing we have too, we have research data. I mean, I've written 2 books on our research with women in leadership, and I'm collecting data now on all the minorities, looking at all that and looking for differences. So again, we're so small though. I'm data rich, but I'm people poor in terms of, I need to bring on some interns and stuff so we can sort it. But I'm just saying that if we got a hot topic, we can analyze it with data. We've got data. I've got 25 years of data, a lot of data.
Yeah.
It occurs to me, another topic that would be really good is what you just mentioned would be, I forgot how you said it exactly, but it was about women leaders.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure we could have an incredible conversation among these coaches about that.
And that's
So-
what I speak about more often than not is women in leadership, because we found out why the glass ceiling exists and the risk factors between men and women leaders are different. So even though risks are ineffective, men get promoted and women get held back, which is wrong because women are often, by our data, the better, stronger leader. So anyway, my last book that came out, it's called Women Are Creating the Glass Ceiling and Have the Power to End It.
Wow.
It's research based, and it's North America and Western Europe. We have data from both of those. And the data turned out the same. The men in Europe were a little bit different than the men of North America, but the women were identical. The one thing we're seeing now is trends, though, in the Middle East where women look different than they do in US and on the risks. And it's surprising me. So I'm waiting to get a few more classes. And we work with Instituto de Empresio, IE, in Madrid, Spain. So we do their executive development, and then they have they go out to different places, and they have a campus in Dubai, or so we're getting data there. But
Yeah, so part of that interesting conversation is why is it that most of the women leaders I talk to, and I coach a lot of them.
yeah,
Think that their biggest, if women are better leaders, why is it that other women are more, that men are more mentoring of them than other women leaders? So
that's an interesting
great,
question.
great, great,
that came up on-
great conversation. I wasn't.
Yeah, that
wanting
just
to
came up
open
on
it
my
up.
coaching call. Was it earlier that last week? Last week that just came up too, about how women are not.
Oh, I'll
sup-
give you the answer to that. That one is a simple one.
What's that?
Men have more time to mentor.
Well, yeah, you're right there. Absolutely. I just think of my daughters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and on the other hand, women, I know I decided not to do this for that last conference, but on the other hand, I still think we're feminizing leadership, but okay.
Okay, we're not going to get into that, but
Well,
I do think that men have much more time to coach other women, because when you think about to coach women.
But this way, I'm not talking about coaching women. I'm talking about women saying that other women go out to get them, attack them in
undermine.
passive aggressive in other ways.
Well, we
whereas
measure
men-
that too. We measure what we call passive aggressive, false advocate. People say one thing and do something else. So we do
Right.
measure that.
Well, yeah, again, in terms of mentorship, women are focused on 1, keeping their job, 2, moving up in their job, 3, their families. Yeah, it's just the list goes on, and there is really less time. When you think about the struggle of the woman to move to the top versus the struggle of the man to move to the top, there's a lot more time spent by the woman to move to the top. So therefore, they have less time to mentor other women.
Oh, right, right, yeah.
I didn't mean mentoring specifically. I meant that what Nancy was talking about. Women will complain that other women try to get them,
I understand.
hurt them.
Jordan. I understand.
And then they'll say, and men mentored me. I wasn't talking about really literally mentoring.
We get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, but you
Yeah.
get, again, like I said, and I can send you copies of my book too, because you can see the data. And like I said, what I just did was really a lot of fun. I did offshore women, right? They're the ones who work on these big tanker trucks and pilots of these ships and all. It was great, you know, and Coast Guard women. So, and they loved it. I mean, they ate it up and they saw, yeah, this is true. So women tend to be, in short, women are worriers. They overthink, overanalyze, and can freeze in fear of making a mistake. And the men are egotists, upstagers, rule breakers, under stress, under conflict. So men use aggression and women retreat. They avoid it, right? Thinking of Karen Horney's work. So the point being is what we try to help women then is not retreat, not go inside your head. You've got to stay in the game. You've got to talk. You've got to speak up, you know, and that sort of thing. So women can work on it, but they need to be aware they're doing it. You know, that it's a habit that they're doing. And we also looked at CEO women. They look just like the men. So they were egotists, upstagers,
I've heard that.
And then the corporate executive women, a lot of the higher level women tend to be worriers, but they had upstager too. So they could stay talking. Okay. They could stay engaged. So anyway, but the majority of women are worriers, period. So they pull themselves out of the running and go up here.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And you know, in terms of what Jordan is talking about, that's really old news. You know, women have been stabbing other women in the workplace since day one. What I am seeing though is that is sliding downward.
Yeah, I think
with
so.
the new generation.
I think it is. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I have daughters and daughter-in-laws in that, you know, in that group. And I think it is changing.
Yeah.
And I think it also depends on what part of the country you're in. You know, it's just a lot of different things that can happen, but.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, this was great. If you both are game to take it, you know, we can, it's just a matter of figuring out time for the coaching, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be working in Missouri now for the next like 8 weeks or so. We just bought a vacation house up there, a little cooler in the summer. So we're heading up, but I'm going to be working from there. So you'll see me in a different place.
good for you. Missouri, that's an interesting place to buy a vacation house.
My husband is from there. So
Ah.
we're going back to the Ozarks. He's from the Ozarks. He just retired. He's a corporate medical director for Phillips 66.
Yeah.
And he's going to start consulting again in September. So we're going to go up there and get that house, or we bought this property. So we got to get it furnished and get it ready to go.
Good for you. Good for you. All right, darling. It was
All
good
right.
to
So good to
have-
see you go. Thank you
I
so
was
much.
so excited when I saw you come in on the call.
Good. I had a hard time getting in. That's why I was late. I was like, I couldn't find the thing. I sent you a frantic. I can't get in.
Oh, okay. Did the
So, but
link
thank
not
you.
work? Did the link not work, or what happened?
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find, and then I guess your programming gal also sent me, or fellow, whoever it is, sent me a
Carla.
link too. I don't know if it didn't come in. I kept having all the registrations. I'm like, did I not process my registration properly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened. I'm not the best at scheduling. You don't want me at the scheduling side. It's a nightmare.
All right, darling.
All
Take
right. Nice seeing you
Good.
both. Thank you.
Take
and
care.
Great
Take
program.
care.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye, everybody.